Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
It is 600 pounds of controversy on Grosse Ile tonight over how a runaway bull was dealt with. Thanks for joining us here for the news at 6. I'm Kimberly Gill.
I'm Devin Skillian. Social media lighting up with people wanting to know why a gun was used on this particular animal. Tonight we've got some answers. Sean Lay live on Grosse Ile to take us through what happened. Sean?
Let's do it because neighbors say this happened, and police also agree. This happened on Monday, and residents here on Grosse Ile say they never got an explanation from police why they needed to take this particular action. We came here to ask questions, and police did take the time to walk us through why they needed to shoot this particular animal.
I'm discussing it because it's part of my community, and people wanted answers.
Carolyn Walls has lived on Grosse Ile all of her life and knows everyone here. Shares the island with all sorts of wildlife. But a farm animal hauled in Monday by a resident from the Bay County area got loose. Police eventually had to put the animal down by shooting it. Since that shot was fired Monday, Walls has had questions.
Yeah, it's very upsetting. Yeah, especially when you live in a community where it's a game preserve. Grosse Ile is a game preserve.
Grosse Ile police tell me this was no cow or calf. It was a 500 to 600 pound bull. 6 police officers, 2 animal control officers, a vet, and firefighters tried to corral the bull by putting 2 different portable fences around it. It just went through those fences. After several hours in a neighborhood, children were nearby, cars coming close to it in the road. It ran on the patios. The call was made to euthanize the bull. This neighbor tells us the bull was in his backyard and first responders tried for hours to get that bull to safety.
It was almost like as if he was playing a game. He'd allow the people chasing him to get close, and then he'd dart away. But he seemed to know that they weren't likely to get their hands on him.
Back here live at the Grosse Ile Police Department, police typing up this entire explanation, the facts of the matter here. We're putting on our website, clickondetroit.com. Details including an animal control officer suffered a minor injury. Plus this, a request for help was made to every law enforcement agency in Wayne County, the DNR, and a Macomb County shelter. No additional resources could be provided. The owner said the bull could not be controlled and gave permission to dispatch this animal. Again, this explanation, more details here on the website, clickondetroit.com. Devin, Kimberly?
Sean, it's an island. It's safe to say the bull didn't just sort of wander there on its own. How did the bull get there, and is that legal on Grosse Ile?
A resident hauled the bull here from up north, and it is not legal here in Grosse Ile Township. So there could be a citation for that. Police believe it's going to be a misdemeanor. They're also working with the Department of Agriculture, who is also investigating.
Yeah. All right, Sean. What a story.
Yeah. A teacher's aide is suspended over accusations they put hands on an elementary school student. This case has the attention of police and E-Course as well as the school district. The alleged incident happened at Ralph Bunch School a few blocks from Fort Street and Outer Drive. Megan Woods has been digging for information on this story, speaking with the superintendent and the student's mom. Megan.
Kimberly, a source tells us that teacher assistant was taken into police custody yesterday after this alleged incident and was released later. Now, the mother of this 4th grader, as you can imagine, she's very distraught and, heartbroken. She's the one who got police involved. She says that her son physically is fine, but mentally, this is already taking a toll on him.
It doesn't matter if this is a one-time occurrence. That's enough. That's all it should take. She should not be allowed to work in any school ever again.
This E-Course mother is heartbroken. She wants to remain anonymous, but says just before noon she got a call from her 10-year-old son's school and couldn't believe what he told her.
She physically blocked him from leaving the room after she told him to leave. Then, when he tried to push past her, she put her hand around his neck and pushed him against the wall. Got away from her, and she grabbed his right arm and then punched him in his left shoulder.
So this is a very egregious accusation.
E-Course Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Joshua Tallison says the district is doing their own investigation.
I consider them all to be our babies, and we want to always make sure our babies are safe and they feel safe at all times while they're with any employee within our school district. So we do take the allegations seriously, and that's why we're taking our time to do a thorough investigation.
And as they get other students and that teacher's assistant side of the story, this mother is left figuring out how to help her child move forward.
Before he went to bed last night, he said, Mom, I'm sorry I made this happen. And that is just a whole other heartbreaking story in itself, for him to think that this was his fault.
She says there's nothing that her son or any other student could have done to justify something like this. And we're told that this didn't happen in a regular classroom setting. It happened in a different room with 3 or more students around with that teacher assistant and that student. So again, what comes next? It depends on those investigations. So if it's the police investigation, depending on what they find, charges may come up in the near future. And as for the school district, they say it could lead to termination. Live in E-Course, I'm Megan Woods, Local 4.
We know you'll stay on top of it. Megan, thank you.
Stellanda says it is trying to be more efficient. The UAW says it's pushing to cut jobs while making billions in profits. Battle lines are being drawn over the automaker's offer to voluntary buyouts to more than 33,000 salaried and hourly workers in the United States. The packages will be mailed to affected workers over the next 7 days. Employees will need to make their decisions and sign up between May 6th and June 19th. This all comes as the union is gearing up for contract negotiations, and union leadership is not happy right now. In a statement, newly elected UAW President Shawn Fain said, and this is the quote, "Stellantis' push to cut thousands of jobs while raking in billions in profits is disgusting. This is a slap in the face to our members, their families, their communities, and the American people who saved this company 15 years ago. Even now, politicians and taxpayers are bankrolling the electric vehicle transition, and this is the thanks the working class gets. Shame on Stellantis." End of quote.
Well, Governor Gretchen Whitmer is in Metro Detroit to visit a sorely needed new assembly plant, some would say. In Auburn Hills, she toured the Flow electric charging station facility. It came to Michigan to tap into our automotive know-how and actually build charging stations the governor says will get installed here in the state. Whitmer said considering there are only about 200 fast charging units across Michigan, a new and locally manufactured supply is welcome.
They're going to create and support 730 good-paying jobs right here in Auburn Hills and build over 250,000 chargers for the American market by 2028. Flow picked Michigan because of the partnerships that we're forging and investments that we're making in cutting-edge companies so that they can continue to expand in our state.
Flow is a Canadian car charger firm making home and commercial charging stations. The newest is called the Flow Ultra and is expected to start showing up on charging lots in the next year.
We would have to say the Detroit Lions have done their homework over these past couple of NFL drafts.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now the city of Detroit Brain Trust is doing the same. They've traveled to Kansas City for intel on how to host the draft when it lands here next year. Nick Monticelli is with them. He joins us live now. Nick, the draft truly has become the biggest off-season event in football, if not all sports, really.
Honestly, Kimberly, I think we're really at that point now because we are anticipating 500,000 people coming to Detroit when we host the draft next year. Meantime, we still have this year's draft to get through. You can see all the signage. You can kind of peek beyond this pedestrian walkway here and see the stage setup and some of the practicing that they're doing for tomorrow's picks. Now, as we mentioned, though, we've got a Detroit team here looking at all of this, the logistics, the banners, the signage, what they like, what they don't like, because they've got a lot of planning to do between now and next year. Okay, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much. It was great to meet you. It may have been serendipity, but the first NFL fans we met in Kansas City already bought their draft tickets for Detroit. Andrew and Dina Watson from Dallas are looking forward to their first trip to the Motor City.
So I've had some friends who've lived in Detroit previously, so it'll be interesting to kind of feel it for myself and kind of figure out what it's like.
What he means is the stigma Detroit carries, something the director of planning and development wants to fix. Here in Kansas City, he noticed a lack of fanfare at the airport and will fix that next year in Detroit.
We want to maximize the welcome as soon as people get off their plane and get into the area. We come into an entire welcoming area, and we want to make the excitement as soon as they get off, as soon as they get there.
The Detroit delegation spent the afternoon strolling Kansas City. Claude Molinari from Visit Detroit likes the walkability they've built in.
They've got a pretty walkable footprint here. You know, we've been able to walk around and go from the various hotels and see some of that, so I think that is also playing into something that we're going to replicate for sure.
When the draft is in Detroit, it'll likely be the largest event in Detroit ever.
This is larger than the Super Bowl, and it's over a few days.
There's nothing like it. It's literally the atmosphere. Like, I always compare it to like WWE, any type of WrestleMania, Super Bowls. That's the atmosphere inside of it.
Whatever you think your best concert is that you've ever been to, times 10.
Yeah. And take the Detroit and times it by 10 again, because it seems like every single year the stage, the event gets larger and larger. In fact, that stage right behind me there is the largest in draft history, so I can only imagine when it happens in Campus Marshes, it'll probably be even bigger. Devin, Kimberly, I have noted one thing that I can guarantee you the Detroit contingent will not want at next year's draft. It's that guy all the way back over there. A couple of Buckeye fans.
Yeah.
Not allowed in Detroit.
Yeah,
I see
what
there.
can you do?
You're right. That's great. But great job, Nick, finding those people who've already bought tickets for next year, for here.
The planning that goes
Crazy,
into this.
right?
Right?
And they're so excited about it, too.
Right.
Yeah, they're so excited about it and really looking forward to what Detroit has to offer, because they've never seen it before.
Yeah, well, it tells you why it's so coveted an event. Really great. We'll keep following Nick here through these next couple of hours as we count down to the draft in Kansas City. Right, Nick?